Okay, starting from left to right, tell me your names.
Oh, me first. You want my maiden name and then my married name? Candace Nicole Licko.
Cindy Smith Phillips.
Kathy Schrock Larson.
Barb Bushmeyer Luchadol.
And Barb, you were on a different team than these three ladies. What year was you at?
I played with my older sister from 69 to 71
What was the fondest memories you have of those years?
of those years.
Yeah.
Well, I watched these young ladies play the state tournament, and I was home babysitting at that time because my mother never had an opportunity to go to games, so I stayed home. But I suppose my fondest memory would have been just being blessed to play with them. I was a freshman with many of these.
And our memory is your sister pushing her around all the time.
They kept saying, "Cheryl, push me around," and all I can remember is a Union Witten
Because you
game.
played in '68 with Cheryl.
Right,
And
Cheryl
she pushed you around. I was behind Denise Long. And you two were fronting Denise Long.
and
What a challenge.
it was probably that game. Playing with these girls, it would have been the Union Witten game.
Yes.
And I was a guard at that time, and then I switched.
We didn't get to be on Johnny Carson like Denise Long did.
No.
I have a picture of her in my memoirs, though. Yeah, where I kind of got up close. And
On Johnny Carson?
no,
Denise Long?
at
No.
the state tournament, I got close to her and took a snapshot.
Really?
I got to watch Barb develop, and I'm sure these girls remember too,
Yep. I
because
played in the guard court with these.
Yes,
Kathy was
and
in the forward court.
she got more coordinated by the practice, and I was just like, yes, she's getting there.
remember that
She's getting
picture.
there.
I just want to know if you thought Bud had my name memorized.
He had
Did
us
you?
all
Yeah.
memorized.
I'd go home every night and say, "Does he not know anybody else's name besides Wish? Can't you do this? Why don't you have your hands straight up?"
But
What I always thought is if he did not call your name out, he did not think you were going to get better.
Exactly.
He would not address you. If he didn't think you were going to get better, you didn't get talked to.
And I think we all learned that from him, that
Yes.
having your name called out meant you had promise.
Yes.
You were in his eye.
Yep.
And sometimes I swear the man had eyes in the back of his head.
He meant it to make you better.
Yes.
Truthfully.
Would you say that he was kind of a type of maybe a father figure to you girls?
Because he didn't have to. I mean, some girls probably didn't think, but for me, he definitely was.
What was it like playing here? And here, I mean, you can't get in the gymnasium because it's packed.
I was used to it. It's a lot different than it is today.
Yeah.
I got a little nervous my junior and senior years.
Why is
But
that?
once I got out onto the court, I was just fine. But ahead of the game, I would be nervous.
And wearing that same uniform.
Yes.
That was all 4 years?
Now, I think when we were seniors, we may have gotten new uniforms.
Same.
I'm not sure.
Those puppies
those
were hot.
And the shorts were really short
Yeah.
and tight.
Did you, and I want to ask each one of you this, did you guys ever do anything, did basketball play a part in your life after you graduated in any aspect?
I was very fortunate to go to school at John F. Kennedy College and then run Bud's training and playing with these ladies. I had a great opportunity to represent the United States in the World University Games.
See, pushing around.
We went to Moscow, we went to Peru.
Is that the same one that Deb Coates was on too? No, okay, different one.
Deb was younger than I.
Well, yeah, I knew that, but I was thinking that she went somewhere when she graduated. That was it, maybe. Yeah.
I played in the World University Games. I just happened to meet my husband at the track meet, and I said, and I'd made the final cut to be the first Olympic team. They were down to 18, and I had made the 18, and then I decided I didn't want to give up my job and my future with my boyfriend, so I gave up basketball. But I did try out for the U.S.
Sure.
What an accomplishment.
Kathy?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I didn't have any basketball career past high school, but yes, I married a man who was you know, had played college basketball, and it was always a big thing with my kids. And then, of course, my granddaughter, when she got to go, she was on the team that got to go to the state tournament with the first 5-on-5 team. So it's ongoing in our family.
And it's for me, the structure Bud gave us as teenagers. Candy and I worked painting houses, and we had our own business. So that structure, don't you think, helped us a lot to know that we could achieve and do self-employment, because it's very difficult in a man's world, and we were women working in a man's world. So I think how he treated us and showed us that if we did the best we could be the best. And that was his.
It's all about a work ethic.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So I enjoyed him for that.
I didn't play basketball after high school, but one neat thing, when I was working over at Western Illinois University, when my husband was going to college there, Bud held clinics there. And of course, all the Illinois schools were 5-on-5, and Mediapolis was still 6-on-6. And so everybody in the office where I worked was like, how does he expect these 6-on-6 girls to come over and even compete with these 5-on-5? And he won everything. Our 6-on-6 girls beat those 5-on-5 girls without one bit of problem, and I was always pretty proud of that.
Fundamentally, we were sound, because that came before anything else, the fundamentals.
We could barely get to scrimmage. It was a big deal when we finally got to scrimmage
Yes.
within the team.
Yeah.
All running
And
up and down and
weeks
passing and
would go
doing the
by.
maze,
And we'd have a short little scrimmage, and we finally got to do something that was
And that was
kind of like
fun.
a game, yeah.
Why was he such a good coach, and why were you? Why was all the Mediapolis girls such great players? What made
He
it?
didn't give us a choice.
Mathematically, he had it figured out how many times a play would be successful. He had it figured out.
The science.
Yes. And when that play wasn't successful, he went on to something else. And he had lots of different ways, didn't he?
He was up for the challenge, and we sure didn't want to disappoint him, ever.
Now, one game I remember, maybe you girls might remember, I had lost so many balls in one quarter, and at the halftime, he mathematically figured out on the chalkboard, if I stayed in the whole game, how many balls I would lose. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but I can see.
I
I
can
can
see
too.
why you remember it.
I just wilted. And then he put me back in. I didn't lose anymore. And then after the game, he said, now see, you just have to think. You have to think about it. Boy, was I thinking about it.
Were you guys any one of you part of the 8 losses that he had at home here? You were.
I would have been at one of them. It was a holiday classic game.
We lost the game here? Oh, Barb, sorry.
It was a home game.
There are 8 home games that were losses.
We lost to Union Lit.
But that was at Montezuma.
That was at
Yes,
That
yes,
was a
that
Montezuma.
wasn't home.
That was
State
not
Holiday
home.
Classic. Remember, it
Yes.
was snowing to beat the band, and
I
there was.
think I just read about that when I was going through my articles.
Were we still in high school?
No.
I believe his home record was 333 and 8.
I was involved in one.
We were one of the 8.
Okay.
Just one.
Just one.
Well, in high school,
What are you doing?
as a sophomore, we only lost 3 games. When we were freshmen at the state tournament,
That's right,
sophomores we
Okay,
won.
so here's
when
the
we were
instruct-
junior at state tournament and when we were seniors at state tournament. So in my high school career, I lost 3 games.
Wow.
That's
Three
the
of them at
case
the
for
state
the 4 sophomores that stayed in all 4 years.
And all of you played at some point with these girls. You 3 were backups, and
Joyce Campbell was my idol, and if she would just put her on the bench, I could have played more. I was going to be just like her.
And being on the scout team, you could not get around her. I mean, you couldn't get, Cheryl would block you, and you couldn't get around. It was terrible.
Joyce would just dance.
She danced. She did that.
Dance, and she
That's
could
something he
read.
made it. That's one thing he always stressed was dancing. They don't do that
dance-
anymore.
the dance-
Andrea
You
does it in
had to
college.
dance.
Yeah.
My problem was you're supposed to call right and left, and I don't know my right from my left, so I always had an issue with that.
Right. And you had to change your feet when
Right,
they said that.
yes, when they
because
said right,
to
because
protect the baseline. But they don't do that in college now. They just count on that backup person, or
catch
even
that
in high school,
Sometimes they don't do a
cover
very
for
good
you.
job either.
No, but they don't switch their feet because of the risk of the baseline.
We were quite the dancers.
I mean, you just wear shoes out. It just didn't. The balls of your feet were worn out.
I have to ask you girls if you remember the drill where we started half court and we had to play tiger defense, and that girl wasn't supposed to get the ball, and we would like, oh, she got the ball. I think Buck's gonna kill us. But it was a tough drill, but that's probably one of the best drills that we ever did.
Yeah.
Was the tiger defense and the dance step. I remember that so well.
Biggest rivalry, Winfield Mount Union.
Oh, yes, and those Wick girls and those Krieger girls. Oh, my
They were
God.
nasty.
They were nasty. Not the Wick girls. They were tall and slender, but that Susie Krieger, she was a tank.
Yeah.
What team played? I mean, that you guys regularly played the dirtiest.
There really wasn't any dirty.
I remember Winfield was tough because it was a small
I'd call it
gym.
tough. There was no dirty players.
It was just like you were right by the hostile crowd. You know,
Close to
very close to it. There was no, when you took the ball out, you were
Right
people
there.
right there.
Isn't that strange? I've never thought of that, but I don't remember any team being having dirty players.
Denise Long was nasty.
Well, that's true, and Cindy, her cousin.
Yep. But other than that, in
And
our
remember at
slogan
state
area,
tournament, we always had to be dressed to the T's. We always had to be very mannered, and Denise Long and her team came down, and it was like, did you see them?
We could not even wear pants.
We couldn't.
we had
Not off
skirts,
the floor.
blazers, and our orange boots fell underneath, and that's how people saw us. They never saw us in our lounging clothes.
When the girls, when your granddaughter went here the past couple years, the Mediapolis girls team that went to state the past couple years, we talked to just different people that were from different schools that were like really happy to see Mediapolis back, you know, at the state.
I would
Yeah.
say girls basketball, I mean, this probably sounds way out there, but it put Mediapolis on the map.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all over, and you know, in neighboring states, where are you from? And you know, sometimes I tend to say, you know, down by Burlington, but then I say Mediapolis,
Yeah.
and then,
Oh yeah,
I've
they have
heard
good
of
basketball.
Mediapolis,
Yeah.
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 And
And it's
so-
continued.
it has, yeah. I mean,
I'd
we
love to
got a
see it.
little grief that the boys, it didn't always work out real well with the boys.
They didn't always like us. very
No, they
well.
didn't
Until we
like
went to the
us.
state tournament, then they
Yeah.
thought we were
The
great.
thing is, what was sad for them is the gym would be full, and when our game was over, it would empty.
Yeah.
And that's
And there were some good teams, good boys teams
Yes.
when we were in high
Yeah,
school.
and another thing that was sad for the whole student body was that if we lost at the state tournament, they had school the rest of the week, but we
did.
And
They
so
weren't
then
happy.
they accused us of not even really caring that much. And so, you know, with glory comes unfairness.
Did you guys scrimmage the boys? No.
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think he would
I
allow
don't think
that.
he would have allowed it.
He wouldn't even.
He wouldn't let the boys in the gym.
He wouldn't want anybody doing anything off season too much where you're like
boyfriend, girlfriend.
well, of your spraining your ankle or hurting your knee. I mean,
You thought about it year round.
Yeah.
yeah, you wouldn't be maybe just the biggest ice
did-
skater or
I
downhill
did water
skier.
ski.
Oh yeah, well, so did Linda Clint. Still does.
I still can slalom ski, and I still, he just didn't know it.
We just knew that we were going to be in trouble if we got hurt. Yep.
True that you had a curfew and
We would
Oh,
just,
yeah.
10:30,
And he called.
telephone, and he wouldn't talk to mom and dad, he would talk to me. That's right.
really.
Yeah, I got it.
And you're not supposed to have pop, you're not supposed to have potato chips.
They can't start fire city.
Hey, one last thing. You guys have any? Each one of you have one memory that you'd like to share?
I remember eating at Bishop's cafeteria. That was one of my favorite memories.
One for me is we emptied the presidential suite to Fort Des Moines and practiced on that floor.
Well, I remember getting yelled at at the hotel
Why?
at my sophomore year when we won the state tournament. And I wasn't ever really sure why. And recently it has come out, and I was not involved in the incident. So we were,
You've been vindicated.
yeah, I've been vindicated. He thought we maybe weren't quite serious enough, me and my friend,
Oh.
about things as sophomores.
I remember the night I turned the wrong way and ran into Bud. He was playing defense on me and he broke my nose. I broke my nose on Bud, but
Remember that?
oh, it was
I think that
awful.
would be fairly normal.
It was, and you know, of course he goes, oh, it'll be okay, and he'll, oh, my nose. You know, he would never, I just never felt that he had any sympathy for any injuries. I mean, you'll be all right, get up and walk it off, and sure enough, you'll be all right.
One of my favorite, one last thing, one of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken was of the girls that stayed here a few years back, and they're sitting on the bench, and it's, I think, right between halftime. I forget when it was, but all their knees are just purple and black. Does that sound familiar? You had knee pads.
We wore knee pads.
Yeah. But is that as far as the toughness and the grittiness, and that sounds familiar?
Yep. Felt like I spent a lot of time on the floor.
You can get roughed up.
Okay.
Even the forwards under the basket can get roughed up. I got a picture